Silence. Not just ordinary silence, silence as deep as an abyss. Silence that weighs heavily, that makes it hard to breathe, that hangs in the air like the calm before a storm. It seems as if the very air is afraid to move, as if even time has stopped, on the border between night and dawn. Jerusalem is still asleep, but not completely. Somewhere far away, on Zion, you can hear the footsteps of the guards. The first shadows roam the narrow streets. The air still holds the breath of the night, but it already breathes with anticipation. Because the day will be unusual. It is already unusual. In the heart of the city, behind the gray walls of the Praetorium, an event has already begun that will change humanity forever. There, behind heavy wooden doors, in a cold stone courtyard, stands a man in chains. His hands are bound. His hair is tangled and damp. His face is inflamed, tired, broken. This is Jesus of Nazareth. He is at the center, not only of space, but of history, of human tragedy, of universal choice. This man is the son of a carpenter, a teacher who walked from village to village, teaching about heaven, which is near. He touched lepers, and they were healed. He forgave sinners, and they changed. His words were not embellished, but they illuminated the soul. He had no sword, but he was feared, not because he was strong, but because he was truthful. He did not speak like the scribes, but like one who had authority. For this authority did not come from empires, religious systems, or fear. It was the power of love. And now that love is bound, and that truth is in chains, and that hope is silent. Around him are Roman soldiers, vigilant, indifferent, hardened by war. They do not care who is being judged. They are part of the mechanism. Above him is the sky, which has not yet decided what it will be like today, clear or dark. Beneath him is stone, cold and hard, like the hearts of many around him. And before him is Pilate. Pilate sits on the stone seat of the tribunal. His tunic is red and white, and in his hand he holds the symbol of power. But his power is fragile this morning. His eyes are tired, his forehead creased with tension. His lips are pressed together, as if searching for a way to maintain a balance between truth and safety. Before him is not just an accused man. Before him is someone who is not afraid. Someone who does not look at Pilate, but deep into him, straight into his conscience. And this causes unease. "Are you the king of the Jews?" he asks, as if automatically, as if according to protocol. "You said it yourself," Jesus replies. "My kingdom is not of this world." Pilate does not understand, and he does not want to understand. For how can one judge the one who does not defend himself? How can one punish the one who is not afraid? How can one crucify silence? His gaze sweeps over the crowd. People, religious leaders, agitated, aggressive. He understands, this is not about truth. This is about politics, about control, about fear of losing influence. And losing influence in the Jewish province means having problems in Rome. Pilate hears his wife whispering to a servant, "Tell him to have nothing to do with this righteous one. I have suffered all night, seeing dreams about him." Pilate closes his eyes for a moment. Dreams, women, words. They are disturbing, but they do not outweigh fear, because the crowd is already boiling. "He is a pretender," shout the chief priests. "He blasphemes God," add others. But that means nothing to Rome. That is why they reworded the charges. He says he is king, against Caesar, against the empire. Pilate sees that they are clever. They want Rome to pass the sentence. They want the empire, not the temple, to do the dirty work. And then they can say, "It wasn't us, the Romans." But the truth is that everyone is participating in this trial. Pilate returns to Jesus again. He hopes to find weakness in him, perhaps pity, perhaps fear, but he finds only calmness. Don't you hear how many are testifying against you? But Jesus is silent. This silence is oppressive. And then Pilate thinks about amnesty. He remembers the tradition. On Passover, one prisoner can be released. And then, the people will make the decision. And here, two figures before the crowd. Jesus of Nazareth, teacher, healer, silent righteous man. And Barabbas, a notorious criminal, a rebel, a murderer. Pilate is almost certain. The choice is obvious. But a voice from the crowd, the first, Barabbas. The second, louder, Barabbas. And again, Barabbas. What shall we do with Jesus? Pilate asks. And then a cry erupts like thunder. Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him! This moment is like time standing still. Even the sky seems darker. Even the air seems more bitter. Words that tear through space. Crucify him! They fly like arrows and do not return. Pilate shudders. It is still possible to stop it. It is still possible to intervene. But fear is stronger. And then, a symbolic gesture. He asks for water. He washes his hands. Before the people. Before the light. Before the truth. I am innocent of the blood of this righteous man, he says. But history knows. There is no innocence if you refuse to defend the truth. He stands. He does not resist. He does not defend himself. He does not explain. He is the center of the storm raging around him. But inside him there is silence. Deep, unshakable silence. The silence of the one who has accepted everything. His hands are bound. His shoulders are bowed. On his head are bloody marks from the crown of thorns, which has not yet been placed on him, but is about to be. His back remembers the blows. His body remembers the fatigue. But his face is calm. At this moment, Jesus is not just a victim. He is the altar. He is not a powerless defendant, but the one who consciously accepts the sentence. For it is not Pilate who is in control of the situation. Nor is it the crowd. Nor is it the empire. It is Jesus who leads the way. He goes willingly. The faces of the people he has helped pass through his mind. The girl who woke up from the dead. The blind man who saw the light. The woman who touched the hem of his garment. Zacchaeus, who changed his heart. Mary, who wept at his feet. The disciples who followed him and fled. But he does not reproach them. He loves them. His silence is prayer. It is sacrifice. It is deeper than all words. He, being God, did not consider it robbery to be equal with God, but humbled himself. As the Apostle Paul would later write, perhaps at this moment he is praying. Silently, in the depths of his spirit. Perhaps he is repeating the Psalms. Perhaps he is remembering the prophets. Perhaps he sees us. You, me. Those who will betray. Those who will believe. Those who will be condemned without guilt. Those who will remain silent out of fear. Those who will choose the truth, even if it hurts. He looks far ahead. Through centuries. Through generations. And he accepts. His love is not sentiment. Not emotion. It is a decision. It is sacrifice. It is silence that withstands hatred. It is light that does not fade in the darkness. Jesus does not respond to the cries. He does not prove that he is worthy of life. For he did not come to defend his life. He came to give it up. This first standing is deeply spiritual. It is about the fact that the truth will not always be heard. That even love can be called a threat. That even perfection can be crucified. But at the same time, that the most sacred is born precisely in injustice. That the greatest victory comes through the greatest humiliation. Because here, before Pilate, Jesus does not suffer defeat. He begins to triumph. Not with a sword, not with power, but with consent. Yes, God, let your will be done, even if it is the cross, even if it is death. This moment is an invitation, not just to observe, but to see yourself. Look at Pilate and ask yourself, how many times have I washed my hands? How many times have I avoided responsibility? Look at the crowd and ask, how many times have I followed the voice of the majority, even when my heart cried out, no? Look at the chief priests and think, have I hidden behind religious forms when love was lacking? Look at Jesus and let his gaze touch you, for his eyes are still open. They are still watching. They do not judge. They forgive. Time stands still, but the verdict is already hanging in the air. The cries do not subside. They come in waves. Crucify him. This is not just a crowd. It is energy fueled by fear, inertia, anger, darkness. True blindness is not in the eyes. It is in the heart. They do not see who is before them. They see only the image they fear. Someone else. Someone different. Someone who does not fit into the usual system. Someone who threatens their comfort. Pilate looks around again. He feels sick. He is not afraid of God. He is afraid of people. He is not afraid of falsehood. He is afraid of the crowd. He is not afraid of eternity. He is afraid of political pressure. He could have saved Jesus. He had the power, but he did not have the courage. How many such Pilates do we see in the world? Judges who pass sentences not based on truth, but on expediency. Leaders who remain silent when conscience is being killed. How many times have we ourselves washed our hands when we saw injustice done to others? Silence is also a sentence. Indifference is also a position. Pilate's story is tragic. He lived as an official, but at one moment he had to face the truth face to face. And he couldn't handle it. His glory faded. His name remained as a symbol of weakness. In the Creed, which has been repeated for over 1,700 years, we hear, crucified for us under Pontius Pilate. Yes, not under Herod, not under Caesar, but under Pilate. Because Pilate is us, people who know but are afraid, who see but do not act. What about the crowd? They are not some kind of demonic beings. They are ordinary people, perhaps neighbors, acquaintances, relatives. People who, not long ago, rejoiced when Jesus entered Jerusalem, laid branches on the road, and shouted, Hosanna! And today, crucify him. Human opinion is changeable. Human love is fragile. Human memory is short. If love is not nourished by depth, it easily turns into disappointment. They were waiting for a Messiah who would change Rome, not their hearts. Who would rise up, not die. Who would bring victory, not the cross. And when that didn't happen, they betrayed him. It still happens today. When God doesn't answer our prayers the way we want him to. When life doesn't go according to our plan. When faith requires sacrifice, but we want comfort. And we begin to cry out inside, why are you silent? Where are you? And often, crucify him. We crucify Jesus every time we betray our conscience. When we remain silent in the face of lies. When we turn away from the suffering. When we reject love. And he still stands. He does not take offense. He does not curse. He does not take revenge. He knows that we do not understand what we are doing. As he will say later, nailed to the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. His silence is not weakness. It is forgiveness even before apology. It is mercy even before repentance. It is salvation even before we understand it. And here it is, the last straw. Pilate no longer tries to save Jesus. The crowd does not want to listen. The chief priests have gotten what they wanted. The soldiers are already preparing the cross. Jesus is condemned. Officially, formally, to death. Not to imprisonment. Not to exile. But to execution. Crucifixion. the most shameful, painful, and longest death. The death of slaves. The death of those whom they want not only to destroy, but to despise. And it is precisely this death that God chooses, to go all the way to the end. For us, the decision is made. Pilate signs the order. The seal of Rome puts an end to it. Jesus is officially sentenced to death. He is led out of the praetorium. He walks slowly. His hands are bound. But he is free, because freedom is not external. Freedom is in the heart. He carries not shame, but love. Not defeat, but victory. Not damnation, but salvation. Soldiers shout and push. The crowd spits. People laugh. But in his heart there is silence. It is the silence of one who knows why he came. At this moment, the sky is silent. But it is not empty. In the invisible realm, angels tremble. Demons celebrate. And souls do not yet know that this is the beginning of the end of their bondage. For here comes the Lamb, the one of whom John the Baptist spoke. Behold the Lamb of God, who takes away the sin of the world. Sin is not only personal, it is also social, historical, collective. The sin of indifference, the sin of fear, the sin of pride, the sin of violence, packaged in religiosity, the sin of weakness, disguised as neutrality. Jesus takes all this upon himself, not as a burden, but as a mission, because love always goes to the end. This standing is a mirror. It shows us not only Christ, but also ourselves. Who am I in this story? Pilate, the one who is afraid of losing influence? Who washes his hands when he needs to intervene? The high priest, the one who hides behind ritual but has closed his heart to God? The crowd, the one who shouts, "Crucify him," because everyone else is shouting it? The disciple, the one who was afraid and ran away? Or maybe I already understand that Jesus is still standing today, in the condemned, in the abandoned, in the refugees, in the lonely, in everyone the world does not want to see. And he asks again, will you be with me? Will you follow me not only on holidays, but also to court? Not only in Hosanna, but also in Crucify. His silence speaks louder than 1,000 sermons. His acceptance is stronger than hundreds of laws. His verdict is the beginning of our freedom. For what the world called defeat turned out to be victory. What Pilate signed as death became the beginning of life. What was shame became glory. And here he stands, bound, alone, humiliated. And he looks, not angrily, not in condemnation, not in offense, but with love, with a love that already accepted our sin before we even acknowledged it. Today is his trial, but the real trial is ours. For each of us must decide, will I turn away again, or will I take his side, even when I am silent? Because Christ does not need us to defend him. He wants us to be with him, close to him, on his side, even if it costs a lot, because he is not afraid of us. He does not condemn. He forgives, and he waits. Friends, if you enjoyed this video and felt the depth of the first station of the cross, please support me with a like and a subscription. It inspires and gives me strength to continue. Ahead lies the second station, and I want to tell the entire way of the cross step by step, deeply and with love. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see the continuation. May this spiritual journey touch every heart. I want to apologize in advance for any mistakes in the text or voiceover. I'm still learning, and the language used on this channel is not my native one. The voiceover is generated with the help of artificial intelligence. Please feel free to point out any errors so I can correct them and improve the quality of the content. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on the topic. Your support and comments truly motivate me to keep searching for meaningful and inspiring stories. Thank you so much for your understanding and for being part of this journey. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any new stories.